Jamborees, escapees, and a whole new line of games from Asmodee. Day D. I'm Matthew and welcome to the Board Game News. We start this week with Maple Valley, which is where I thought Rodney lived, but no, it's the next game in the Creature Comforts world. On the day when the last snowflake of winter has melted away, all the critters emerge from their cosy homes to celebrate, and that day is today. Well, isn't that fortuitous? In this 1 to 5 player hand management and set collection game, it's the Maple Valley Spring Jamboree. I love jamborees, okay? I love jamborees, yard sales, tombolas, and village fetes. Seriously, I love it. The original Creature Comforts just delivered to Kickstarter backers who seem to be very happy with the unique worker and dice placement where you assign workers first and then roll dice to see how those workers can activate. And this new game is by the same designer, Roberta Taylor. Maple Valley is described as a game of travelling trails and finding friends. It's where you'll need to climb, swim and dig your way to the most bountiful groves, forage for fresh spring ingredients to help villagers complete their errands, and unearth curiosities that will attract skillful scouts to your growing team, all before the sun sets. And it looks utterly charming, and its publisher, KTBG, will be bringing it to Kickstarter this autumn. Yellow have announced Distant Suns, which is being described as a choose and write game, releasing in the next couple of months, where after humanity discovered faster than light travel, the next thing it needs is some faster than light travelers, which is no doubt where you come in, to discover and explore, and most importantly map out, the universe that is now within reach. In Distant Suns, which plays 2 to 4 explorers, you'll choose and write a figure on a free exploration zone. Which sounds nice, but this will force your opponents to draw another one on theirs, as you score points encountering aliens, upgrading your ship, discovering treasures and exploring black holes, while becoming the most famous space explorer in the galaxy. And we are promised renewed challenges in every game for high levels of replayability when it releases later this year. Not only have I never seen the movie Escape from New York, I'd never heard of it, but I did see a lot of people getting rather excited about the announcement from Pendragon Games, the publisher of This War of Mine and Captain Sonar, that along with designer Kevin Wilson, who designed Arkham Horror and Descent, that they were teaming up to bring us Escape from New York, the board game. There is very little known about this game apart from the beginning revs of a hype machine warming up, but the publishers say that in Escape from New York, an adaptation of the John Carpenter movie of the same name, you play as Snake, Brain, Maggie or Cabby, oh Cabby, and attempt to rescue the president and his precious tape and bring them to safety while dealing with the gangs of the most dangerous prison in the world, all of Manhattan. Is that what this film is about? Because it sounds awesome. It sounds great. And the crowdfunding project for Escape from New York will launch this winter. From one renowned designer to another now, with the announcement by Amigo Games of Verfelhelden by Magic the Gathering creator Richard Garfield. Though, you know, we always say Magic the Gathering, but also just loads of very good board games. King of Tokyo, Bunny Kingdom, Robo Rally. In Verfelhelden, or something similar to Roll Heroes in English, you become a hero and together with your group take on villains who are up to mischief in the kingdom. With the luck of the dice you can secure rewards or find valuable treasures. The game plays 2 to 4 heroes and will be getting its initial release in June. And what excites me is that Richard Garfield just released Dungeons, Dice and Danger, a dungeon crawling roll and write game that I really liked. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. Also, anyone remember 1998's game Pecking Order? Great game. Pecking Order, anyone? Cannot find a copy of it in the UK. Pecking Order. Also, talking about games that I really want but will be perhaps difficult to find, Flat Out Games announced that Mandu Games announced a Pokemon version, and it's specifically the Pokemon EV version of Point Salad. It's going to be a Korean version of the fantastic family weight card game that definitely has text on the cards, but it's all Eevee. Every card. Sorry, every card. I want this. Point Salad is a drafting and set collection game where on your turn you are faced with the decision to either draft a single scoring goal card or 2 ingredient cards to fulfill those goals. And it's great. This edition, this EV edition does the exact same thing, but again, every card is EV. It's genius. Sorry, I mean it's genius. No, that last one didn't work. Fine, I can admit that, but I do maintain that the first 2 did, so. Talking about things that have lots of different variations that end with Eon, which is a super specific but valid segue, we have Stellarion, the latest game entering the Oniverse. The Oniverse of games with Onirim at its helm is a series by Shady Torbury, and in the 1 to 2 player Stellarion, you are the director of the observatory and your telescope aimed at the stars, planets and nebulas of the Oniverse, and you are ready to launch a daring spaceship into the skies. And Stellarion is a deck management game where you have to use the resources in 8 decks correctly to have what you need when you need it. Also, it's worth mentioning that the Oniverse games are now under Torbury's independent publishing company, Impatient Games, which will be publishing not only Oniverse games, but other games, saying that each of our games will be playable solo. They won't all be solitaires. Actually, for the time being, none of our planned games are exclusively solo, but each will have one-player rules that are more than an afterthought or a pasted-on addition. So, that's an exciting venture. I'll be looking into more games by them as they're announced because I very much like the Oniverse series of games. Okay, so there's lots of news. Ticket to Ride San Francisco is set to be the next in the small box Ticket to Ride games line, where it's the 1960s, a mythical time where people could still afford to live in San Francisco. And you'll be developing a network of cable cars to help get people from A to B. There's a system of souvenir locations from Lombard Street to Golden Gate Bridge. And the more of these souvenirs you collect, the more points you get at the end of the game. And expect to see this new Ticket to Ride in Target stores in June, then the rest of the world in August. Pegasus have announced Kazuka for 2 to 6 players, which does sound like a kazoo-inspired party game, but it's actually a zoo-inspired deduction game where zoo animals are trying to escape from the boredom of captivity for a new and better life of freedom. I wonder what that feels like. In Kazuka, we are attempting to help a bunch of animals hatch a plot to escape and break out of their zoo. This is a great theme. I'm a big fan. I live near a zoo, and once a snow leopard escaped, and it was admittedly rather exciting. There are multiple ways to escape, and each round you will be dealt item cards that you are not allowed to reveal to the other players, but by cleverly placing your animal tokens on paths throughout the zoo, you can communicate which items you have in hand and how you intend to break free a little later this year when it releases. Talking about animals trying to escape a zoo, Restoration Games have released a new Unmatched set with Dr. Sattler vs T-Rex, though I know where I'd be betting my money. Let's be real, it's a massive dinosaur. I've not seen Jurassic Park, but I assume the dinosaurs win. Right? I mean, it's massive. It takes up 2 spaces on the board. Hold on. Wait. Stuck on an island in a life or death situation? Sounds like a job for Snake, Brain, Maggie, or Cabby. Oh, Cabby. In this new set, the, again, massive T-Rex unleashes a huge attacks and seems unstoppable, while Dr. Sattler makes full use of her surroundings and smarts with the help of her sidekick, Dr. Ian Malcolm, who also gets his own mini, which is another first for this series. Normally the sidekicks are plastic tokens, but I guess they couldn't resist. We actually reached out for a quote from Rob Davio, the co-founder of Restoration Games, who said, "When you have an opportunity to do a sexy Ian Malcolm as a mini, you say yes, then you figure out the details." I mean, it is pretty magnificent. So if more asymmetrical battling is what you're after, then this set is out now. And finally, we have that big announcement from Asmodee with the launch of Access Plus, a new line of games that adapts existing games for players with cognitive disabilities and features accessibility upgrades such as bigger and easier to hold cards, adapted rules, different difficulty levels, as well as single player modes and a booklet including the cognitive benefits of playing that specific game. These games are aimed at those with disabilities affecting speech, social relations, attention, emotional control, as well as planning and memory. And Asmodee paired with outside researchers and medical professionals to create a line of games with a mission to make board games for every player. But also they wanted to create a positive social impact, as their games stimulate cognitive functions, foster positive emotions and social interactions, and as they put it, spark joy in discovering or rediscovering the pleasure of playing together. The first games in the Access Plus line are versions of Dobble or Spot It, Timeline and Cortex, which will be available in France, Belgium and Canada later this year, with worldwide distribution coming after that next year. And I am all for it. Which games would you like to see adapted? Let me know below. But until next time, that's the news. Continue on with your Watch It Play journey to this month's On The Radar, where honestly, we get a little bit loose with it.